What's up guys, Tom Davis here, America's Canine Educator. On this episode, I'm going to teach you a couple easy steps on how to get your dog or your puppy to walk nicely on a leash. We're going to do this in a couple different episodes. This is 1 out of 3 to teach your puppy how to walk nicely on a leash. Now this is a young Doberman I've never worked before, and much like any dog who's not had leash pressure, it could be a puppy or it could be an older dog. But if your dog is not introduced to leash pressure properly, you'll probably never be able to get the dog to walk nicely on a leash. So this is step 1 out of 3 on how to get your dog to walk nicely on a leash. So all I'm simply going to do is teach Vita the introduction. This is step 1 of leash pressure. So I made a little slip collar out of nylon. It's important that the slip collar fits high and tight, just behind the ears. And the first thing I'm going to do is directional turns. Now as I'm doing this, I also, depending on the dog, will start to mark the command heel. I usually free shape, which means I'm basically going to get the dog to do what I want and then mark it as a heel. But during this time, I can mark the heel and get her to understand the leash pressure that I'm applying. Heel. Good heel. Good heel. Good heel. Good heel. Good heel. Heel. Good heel. Good heel. Heel. Good. Heel. Good girl. So now that I have her intention with my outside turns, which is the harder turn to make when you're introducing the heel command or leash pressure in general, the easier applied pressure is going to be what we call in dog training an inside turn. It's exactly how it sounds. You're going to turn inside the dog using your left leg. All I'm doing here is making sure that Vita here is paying attention to me as we walk. Once you get that focus and you get that redirection of attention towards the handler, then you can start really marking that heel command a bit more. So now I'm going to introduce the inside turn with the introduction of a heel. Vita heel. Good. Heel. Good. Heel. Good heel. Good. Good heel. Heel. Good heel, Vita. Good heel. Good heel. Good. So that's an inside turn. Now that's the easier way to start. So if you're a beginner or your dog is a beginner and you're wondering on how to get your dog to walk nicely on a leash or introduce the heel command to a younger dog or any dog for that matter, the inside turn is going to be a bit easier. So after you do that, you can do your inside turn, you can do your outside turn. I'm going to let her go and do what she wants to do. And what you're going to do is you're going to combine them. So you're going to do an inside turn, you're going to do an outside turn, and you're going to collectively do it together. The important part and the biggest thing for you to understand at home is now that she's introduced to leash pressure and she can walk nicely on a leash, loose leash, not to overdo it. Don't take off more than you can chew, don't bite more than you can handle. And so what you want to do is do this in little tiny increments. So you're going to do an inside heel, outside heel. What you've noticed, what I do here at the Academy is I do squares or rectangles to make sure that the dog understands the pattern I'm applying, and it'll set us up for a lot more success. So I'm going to do this a little bit more so you guys can get a really good idea on exactly how to introduce the first step of applying leash pressure to a younger puppy or a dog without any experience with leash. So again, I'm going to run through the inside turn, introduction of leash pressure first, and then I'm going to do the outside turn. So all you're going to do is you're going to step with your left leg, always handle on the left side with the dog. You're going to say heel as you do it. Now, heel is a command. So this command should be transferable without the equipment or without the leash or anything. The heel is you have to be on my left side walking nicely next to me on a loose leash. And just like we teach a dog to sit or down or paw or whatever it may be, when they do it or they comply to the command, you want to reward them with a verbal good. So as I'm working with her and I say heel, I'm going to say good heel. Once she's in that pocket of where I want her to be, I'm going to continue to mark the command. Vita heel. 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 Good heel. Good. And as you see, I'm making my square here. Heel. Good heel. Good inside turn. Good heel. Good heel. Outside turn. Vita heel. Heel. Keeping her on my left side. Heel. Heel. Now when she goes and bounces like you're seeing her start to do, heel. Good girl. Good heel. Heel.
you simply give her a little pressure, a little pop on your slip collar. So that's the inside and outside introduction of how to start leash pressure or how to start the heel on any dog. This happens to be a young Doberman with little to zero training with me. This is her first session with me, and she's doing great, which is awesome. So I'm really excited to work with her. She's here for a board and train with us, so we're really excited to see what she turns into, but very simple. And that's how you want to start with any dog. Keep it simple, that way you'll be successful. So inside turns, outside turns, marking the heel command. Now, one of the things that a lot of people do that kind of puts a big fork into the whole thing during the process of any training is they bite off more than they can chew. So you're not going to go out and do this in the public yet. You're not going to do this with their dogs around. You're not going to do this with food. But you're going to want to do this with verbal cues and just leash pressure. If you keep it simple and you keep it basic, you never have to give them more than they need. Meaning, if I were to teach this dog these commands with food or something really high valuable, I would always have to use that for the most part. So I really want to keep it simple. Now, if I want to put a cherry on top in the end, great, I'll throw over some food and do that as well. And I do that a lot with muscle memory and teaching the dog that, hey, heel means this position, and right when they're in that pocket, you reward them as much as you possibly can with verbal praise. So one other thing that I know that you guys are going to ask, and I know that you guys are going to have questions about out there is what if your dog isn't compliant as Vita is for me? I'm actually lucky to have such a calm, mellow Dobie at this age, which is great, but what you want to do is make sure that you're using a slip collar to make sure that you're putting the corrections and the pressure on at the right time. Now, you could use any tool on this planet and misuse them and harm a dog for that reason. So don't get it twisted about using a tool on a dog. You could use a flat collar and harm a dog. You can use water to harm a dog. We're not doing any of that because all the tools we use here at the Upstate Canine Academy are used properly, and we do not cause pain or harm to any of the dogs that we work with. However, if you do use the tools wrong, of course you can. So making sure that this collar is high and tight, sitting right behind the dog's ears. Now, if your dog isn't as compliant as Vita, all you're going to do is you're going to put pressure on the dog and go one way. They're going to go the other way. Vita, come. Good girl. Good. Vita, come. Good. And they go flying off the other way. And all you do is you give them pressure with the leash. Vita, come. Good girl. The most important thing when you're delivering pressure to any dog for any reason is to do it fairly. So when I ask her to do something, I'm going to ask her first. If she doesn't comply, then I presume my pressure. I'm never going to do it at the same time because it's not fair and it's not going to make sense to the dog. So when I'm asking her, Vita, come. No pressure. Good heel. Good. Vita, come. Good. There. She goes off. She gives a sniff. Pop. Good girl. Vita, come. Good girl. No pressure. Vita, come. Good girl. Okay. Break. All positive reinforcement-based training, absolutely no negativity because I don't need any. And that's the only time you throw over negative punishment is when they don't comply to something you already know that they know. So I hope this is informative for you guys. Thank you guys so much. Be looking out for episode number 2 out of 3 for introducing the leash pressure and teaching any dog the perfect heel.